Today is March 6th, almost 2 weeks into spring training and just 3 weeks from opening day in Miami. Getting antsy yet? Ready for real games? You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. His name is Jake. What's up, Jake?
Not much, man. What's going on?
Not much. Man, Matt calling me out right away in the chat. Make your own music. Yeah. We should. We should figure that out.
Maybe. That'd be great.
Yeah. Have we ever done that?
What? I mean, we've tried.
Yeah.
How's the weather up there, man?
Cold. It's snowing again.
I actually got out and played 18 today. It was nice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds great. Here you go, guys. Wait, I got to do it, Jake. I got to do it. Matt? I got to do it.
Yeah.
Matt, we did make our own music.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. And there you go.
That was our intro for every show, man.
This could be our intro for this show.
Could be. I'm down.
There you go.
Love it. Where's Brock when you need him?
Where's Brock? Where's Brock's not in the chat. Come on, man.
No.
We did a long time ago. We made our own music.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's why that guy's still sitting back there on the wall.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is all I did. So
that's
I guess
fair.
it's right here.
It's an instrument in itself.
All right. Well, we've got a couple things to talk about tonight. I mean, spring training games are going and the Pirates are, playing baseball. So there's always something to talk about. Oviedo injury, obviously, we're going to get into that. And there you go. Bucco Mike says, plug in some boring Joe Block home run call in that music and you got something. Sorry, Doug. That was just the intro, man. It gets crazy, but whatever. Yeah. But there's stuff to talk about. I said in the intro, we're almost 2 weeks into spring training and we're getting close to 3 weeks, right? Or no, it's 3 weeks from today is opening day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man,
It's coming quick.
Miles, awesome. My lifelong best friend who died a few years back. Sorry to hear that. And my Pirates sounding board was a bandmate for 36 years. That's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, sorry. Just getting slow there. Just getting slow. Andy, Bucco Mike says, yeah, Andy is 3 for 3 today. And I don't know, man. We're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk a little bit about the catcher position. Andy Rodriguez, Henry Davis, Joey Bart, Jason DeLay played today and somehow hit a 3-run single. Yeah, and if they would televise games in Sarasota, we would know how in the world you hit a 3-run single.
Yeah, I was on Twitter before we got on here and I saw Jim Rosati. I need to see the video. I agree, Jim. I agree.
You have to know what happened there. I mean, Did he get hurt? Are we nervous? There's nobody saying anything. I mean, what did he fall on his face coming out of the box, or there has to be something?
That's Brian McCann level, right?
And he's not that way.
No, I don't get it.
Well, we're gonna talk about
unless maybe like they threw it a little, like somehow he got to second on the throw and they just counted him for a single.
Oh, I guess that could be it, actually. If he moved to second on a throw, of course I don't know. Let's see, because it'll say that, right?
Probably not.
It doesn't say that. Yeah, because it would say Jason DeLay singles on a fly ball to wait. Jason DeLay singles on a fly ball to first baseman Taron Vavra to first base. Cheng scores, Cook scores, Gorski scores. Okay. Had to be 2 outs, runners in motion, bloop single over first base. Right fielder dove for it, right? I still don't understand how DeLay's not getting to second.
It was a bloop pop up, and the first base just didn't throw it in, according to Block.
Oh. All right. There you go. Gigamosher.
Interesting.
It scored from first.
Interesting.
How did Gorski get on? Was it a hit? Nope.
Didn't we say
it was a walk? It was a walk.
Oh, that's right. He pinch ran earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, and he walked. So, man. All right. Well, what else we got here? I mean, whatever. The games are going on. There's a lot there. Why don't we just say this? If you've got questions, I already see one out there from Launchpad, so we'll get to that. If you've got questions, throw them in the chat. Meanwhile, let's get into a couple things here. Skeens threw 63 pitches today, so he moved up. I think it's like 9 pitches more than his last outing, something like that. So we're starting to see our pitchers stretching out a little bit. Always good to see. I think Keller was close to that in his outing.
Al Leiter was saying on MLB Network today that you want to get to that 100 pitch mark in spring.
You just don't see it happen very often anymore.
I don't know that they get there. I don't know.
I think a lot of times we do see a lot of like even their first start of the season. You're like, okay, we're about 85. We're about 85, 90 tops. Yeah. I think if you can get there, you got to feel pretty good. Now,
right.
Skeens still has a little bit to work on as far as efficiency. Walked 2 more today. He's working on pitches, so I know that he's talked about working on efficiency, working on throwing more strikes and not getting deep into every count.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this guy's going to go 8 innings, he's going to throw 120 pitches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of work on that, but I wonder when that happens. Because if he's still working on a certain pitch or he's still working on that cutter 2-seam combo or whatever he's doing, we don't know, obviously, without StatCast in Sarasota today. But if he's still working on that, it makes sense. He's going to have to get a feel for those pitches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're going to expect some of that. But I think in a way, I want to see the next couple starts if he starts to work on that efficiency now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucco Mike says most Skeens will throw is 85 in spring. I think I'm probably agreeing with that.
Yeah. Yeah. 85, maybe 90. Maybe.
And then where do you go on that? Are you still pulling back on that first start? I mean, well, if the first start's in Miami, there's not really a reason to change anything.
Right.
But if that first start in Pittsburgh, I'd be limiting that a little bit if it's cold.
Sure.
Bucco Mike says, drop the cutter, have Uncle Jake teach Skeens the changeup.
He doesn't need me to teach him his changeup is disgusting.
Right. Remember, his changeup, although he threw it the least of anything, still had a batting average against of .088 last year.
Yeah. I think his changeup is fine.
But also the cutter can be nasty too. And if he throws it very little, just trying to either set up some other things or get that swing and miss, after 2 strikes against a
If he
lefty
can-
going in on the hands. I mean, that's
If you can figure out a couple pitches like that and only throw them once in a while, they're going to be effective. If you get to a battle with a hitter and they're fouling a bunch of pitches off and then you just throw a cutter that you never throw,
yeah.
he's done.
Yeah, and I think that's still. I think the cutter is still to battle against left-handed hitters. You know what I mean? It's just another thing to move a different direction. It's probably not ideal to go to righties in that case, but I don't know, man.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we've seen it already be like really effective, and I just think I certainly don't. I see Bucco Mike saying that he hates the cutter. I certainly don't want to see any more cutters from Mitch Keller.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like a good cutter. It's definitely a good pitch if you can throw it. It's not as easy of a pitch to throw as people think. So that's why it kind of gets a little bit of bad rap, because people try to throw it a lot and they don't throw it well. It gets hit. But if you can throw a good cutter, I mean, no one's going to throw Mo's cutter, but I mean, he lived on it. Right. I mean, that's.
I was going to say the cutter is like, if you can get an elite cutter, it's a good pitch. If you can't, it is kind of a subpar pitch in comparison to like a 2-seam, obviously the 4-seam, but I'd much rather see things break arm side when you're throwing the heat.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. I mean, that doesn't mean that if you have a really good cutter, it can be a really good pitch.
Yeah.
Or if you just pick your spots, like you're saying, then I think that it's still good. But either way, I mean, I'm not going to doubt Paul Skeens until I start to see, until I start to see some things struggle from him.
Yeah.
Just have to see that first. Mitch Keller through the other day looked pretty good. We did get to see Heaney for the first time this week. Obviously the results not good, but I don't know did you get to see any of his outing or get to even look anything up or anything?
I did not.
Okay. So
it's been a week here, man. I've been dealing with the dog and everything, and
yeah,
he's home, but I mean, there's just still a lot to go with all that stuff. So
sure. It's his first outing of spring. I'm not going to get concerned about anybody's outing in spring, but
right.
Also for a guy like Heaney, I don't know. It was fine. We'll see more. We'll get to go. We'll get to go off of more. I don't know. Cool. It's a good question. I might have known. I don't know now. I don't even think I have. I didn't even open the windows up. What day did he pitch?
There you go. 90 to 91.
There you go. Thank you.
Go, Mike.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, not necessarily pretty. But he did throw 41 pitches. So he's not too far behind.
No, he was getting work in before he came, and he was throwing simulated games to professionals and then college athletes once the professionals left for camp.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a veteran guy. I mean, he's going to be our 4 or 5 starter. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. Unless they get cute, right?
Which I hope they don't. I honestly just throw him in at the 5 spot and call it a day.
At the 5 spot? I mean, he's better than Falter.
I mean, it really doesn't. Once you get to 4 and 5, it really doesn't matter.
Right. That's true. I'd split up the lefties somehow. I want to make sure I'm throwing a lefty in each series. The only way you can do that is if you split them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want to make sure, especially like a home series, you just want one of those lefties going at PNC.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that it's necessary. If I got only because it's Skeens, Keller, Jones, or Skeens, Jones, Keller, however you want to put it together.
Yeah.
I mean, with those three, I'm just taking my chances without a lefty. We'll bring the lefties out of the pen.
Sure. I'm sure the lefties would like to pitch more games at home.
Right.
But I that's my opinion. Now, I will say this though. How long does that last? Because you've got who's coming? No lefties. If Chandler busts the door down,
Bucco's probably the next lefty.
I mean, he's not.
And he's not that close?
No.
I'm just saying he's
right.
I'm just saying who's next, as a lefty.
Yeah, probably 2-3 years away from seeing another lefty as far as prospects go. Mm-hmm. I would think, unless I'm forgetting somebody, but I'm thinking Bucco and Solometo are that's what we're waiting on. You know what I mean? And they're probably 2-3 years away, depending on how their progression goes. But yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter if you're saying, oh, you have two lefties right now, but how long is that going to last? You know what I mean? I mean, it like I said, if Bubba or Ashcraft or Burrows or Harrington, obviously, if any of those guys are busting down a door, they're gonna slot into there, and we're gonna have four righties, and then eventually, maybe next year, you're already at all five righties. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly think one of the ways you could get rid of that is almost if you go look for a guy who might be in the spot that maybe Garrett Crochet was in this year, and you trade one of your up and coming righties for that lefty who's going to be in your top five automatically.
Mm-hmm.
I not something I want to do necessarily, but it's something I would entertain. I mean, you got to be getting a stud, right? So a guy that you can slot in like the 3 spot in your rotation as a lefty who's just a stud.
Yeah. And also you could say Caleb Ferguson could open for Jared Jones on one of those games or something. You know what I mean? I know how much you love that. Yeah. But if you could start that lefty and get him through the first couple innings and then let Jared Jones go, at least you got some of that benefit at the top of the game. I don't know. Of course, Ferguson necessarily hasn't been he gave up 4 runs in the same game Heaney did. So maybe we need to see a little more of that first.
Yeah.
Majinski too. If that guy's I think he'll open. I think they'll only stretch him out to 3 innings this year.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my thought on that. But Dave White, do you put one between Skeens and Jones? No, well, I would put it between, I think they're going to go Skeens, Keller, Jones, I think is how they'll do the rotation. And if that's what I'm doing, then I would put it between Keller and Jones. I would put Heaney 3 if it was me. I still want those 2 guys at the top, and it takes a little pressure off Jones in that way. So I would definitely put Heaney 3 if he's stretched out enough. That would be my play, but it doesn't have to be, right? That would be my play. I'm that way though. So, and I don't know if that's old school. Like I would every time, I don't even care what I'm making a lineup for. I'm going to try to go right, left. I'm always going to do it. It's just ingrained into my brain that that's what you do. And if I have the luxury to do it, that's what I'm going to do. Even in slow pitch softball, Jake, I still do it because I say it drives the other team nuts. How many lefties do you have? They like to say when you don't, when you have them all the way through the lineup. But anyway, I mean, like it for me, even like a lineup, I just want to mix it up. If you could put definitely have a righty behind, and not just a righty, but a righty who hurts left-handed pitching behind O'Neal Cruz, it just changes that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's mashing lefties gets to hit behind Cruz.
Yeah.
But you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if I'm building a lineup, I'm breaking them up. It's just my pitching rotation. And I don't disagree with you at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a difference of opinion, I guess. And I don't view one or the other wrong. I'm just in a pitching rotation. I'm just stacking my best to worst.
And I would say this, or I guess I would say I would ask it. Is it fair to say because of the gap between Jones and the 4 guy is further than if they were close, you just flip them and you go left then right. But you're saying like the gap between Jones and Heaney is too big to then change all that.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm at.
And if you run into a team who bangs lefties too, I mean, it's not going to be great to have back-to-back lefties either, but still, if it is that big gap, then I see saying, no, let's go with our 3 and then go from there. Once you get into the season, it's not like it's a matchup that much because you've played different games and you kind of lose sight of who was first in line. It is kind of just how do they fall? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to have your 5 guy up against an ace several times.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's part of it too with the pitching rotation is when you get into the season and you get the different matchups, it just doesn't matter. It's almost like they talk about the leadoff guy. Once you start the game, he's not the leadoff anymore. Like I get it, but I don't know. That's why I wouldn't put my worst hitter last too in the batting order. I'm turning it over. He's not one of my best, but he's not my worst.
Yeah, that's still that's interesting too because the mind now. I'm trying to think of how I just totally blanked on how you word that. The mindset. Thank you. The mindset now is top of the order is just the guys who I want to have 600 plate appearances this year. Yeah. Like get me the most at bats for the guy at the top. I don't care if he's fast or if he does this or that or the other. You know what I mean? It's mostly just who do I want to have the most at bats? They're hitting at the top. You know what I mean? And I actually like that. I agree with that. It is kind of one of those things where I'm saying just stack my top guys. I would hate to see, this guy profiles best as a leadoff hitter, and our best hitters are really 2, 3, 4. And then I'm like, why are you even doing that then? If they put our left fielder at leadoff, it's going to be pointless. We're just, wasting that first at bat or maybe that 8th inning at bat. Instead of having Cruz up or McCutchen up or something like that, you're going to have our left fielder up. And then it's going to be a whole mess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I like that too for 1 through 4. And then I want to strategically build a lineup 5 through 9.
I agree with that. Yep. I mean, I've seen him. I mean, spring training, it's hard because it is 100% at bats, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at like they're hitting Jack Sawinski leadoff a lot, and that's for me. I'm kind of like, okay, but that's not. I'm not sure that's where I want to go with that. If you were to name the 3 best hitters in the lineup, Jake, I mean Cruz and Reynolds for sure, but who's that next guy? Who's that next guy that should be 1 or 3?
I mean, if you're basing it on like just body of work, it's got to be Kutch.
I know.
I'm still not. I mean, I hear you, Miles. I get it, but I'm still not 100% sold on Joey Bart. I want him. I want him to keep going, and he's looking good this spring, and that's making me feel better about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just not. I'm just still not sold. I don't know. Just I need to see more. But I'm getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dave White says Bart, but he shouldn't be leadoff. If you go by performance last year, right? If you go by OPS plus, Baseball Reference OPS plus, right? Then your best hitter last year was Joey Bart. Now, granted, he did that in 80 games, not 150, which was Brian Reynolds, 156. And it's a 120 OPS plus for Bart and a 119 for Brian Reynolds. If you look at, I don't have Fangraphs up, but weighted runs created plus is going to be a little closer to our bat plus from Baseball Reference, which favors Brian Reynolds over Joey Bart. So you're going to see a lot of that. But Joey Bart is there, but he's also not going to play more than 90 games, I bet. You know what I mean? He played 80 last year. He was in Pittsburgh by the first home series. So it's not like he only played a portion of the season here. He was pretty much here all year. And
didn't he have an injury at some point?
He may have been on the shelf for a minute.
I think he was on.
But he's a catcher. He might be on the shelf for a minute too. I mean,
right.
A 15-day IL stint is reserved for everybody, pretty much. I mean, you're going to have those little things where you do that. But it's those guys, and then it's Cruz, and then it's Kutch, right? So they're all right there. I mean, you're talking Delay and Grandal. I mean, Nick Gonzalez is just below average. I mean, that's it. That's your list. That is your 1 through 4 without a doubt. Until Joey Bart hits his way out of that, he's your 4-hitter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he hits lefties, and that's good. And if it is Henry behind him, which we're going to talk about next, but if it is Henry behind him, he also hits lefties. So you just put him right in the 4-hole. You don't have to change your whole lineup, even though it doesn't matter. Shelton's going to change the lineup every day.
Right. Right.
The lineup is not necessarily dictated.
Yeah, the only thing that won't change is Reynolds batting 2.
Reynolds is going to bat 2. I think in general, I bet O'Neal Cruz gets a spot. Whether that's leadoff or 3. I would pick 3. And the reason
I think he's
is...
find himself at 3.
Yeah, and the reason is I'd rather see Kutch at leadoff. I don't want to see Kutch in the 3-hole, and I don't want to see Joey Bart in the 3-hole. So for me, I go Kutch, Reynolds, Cruz is how I start the lineup. Bart, I'll go Kutch, Reynolds, Cruz, Bart.
Yeah.
And then if it's some other way, I mean, if Jack continues to do this, then it's going to be, I could see them doing that. I could see them putting him up in there and then moving Bart to 5 and Kutch 4. And I actually don't hate that either. It does say, well, then we're good 1 through 5.
I wouldn't hate Jack at 4 and Bart at 5.
I would. You got to have a righty behind Cruz.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
I don't want to stack lefties with
we
especially
just talked about that.
especially Cruz and Sawinski. Imagine, you know what I mean? They bring in a lefty, you're taking Sawinski out of the game. You know what I mean?
He's been facing lefties.
Yeah, but in that situation, you know what I mean? I'm making a move there. So I think that's, to me, what's that's how I would stack things up right now to start off. And then, like you said, you're building a lineup after that. And I think it's going to change so much because they're going to play matchups. They're going to play, differences of who's playing what position even, and they're going to move things around a lot.
I think our bench is going to get a lot of at-bats this year.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it has been. And I think that's going to continue.
We had Alika Williams in the major leagues last year for quite some time, and he had like 2 at-bats.
Yeah. 96 plate appearances for him, and he was up for quite a while. He also had, negative WAR. So
yeah. I mean,
and a 49 OPS plus.
Yeah, he didn't deserve the at-bats. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying, not all of our bench got at-bats last year.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah. I think they're going to move it around a lot. And the bench is going to be interesting in and of itself. But check into the chat a little bit. Dave White says, Bart is the real deal, Jake.
I get it. I'm just, the real deal doesn't take that long to click.
Yeah. I understand where you're at. Like I can get there. He played 80 games last year and he was great.
Yeah.
Do it again. Like I'm all there, but right now it's his. And I disagree with it doesn't take that long to click. I think he could still be the real deal and be late. Yeah. Especially because it happened right away on Change of Scenery. Like he was trying to play in Buster Posey's shadow. Once he got out of that, there is some loose and all right, I can make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's also a fair chance that if he gets more looks than 80 games, you might start to, become oh, he does this. You might get a book on him a little bit. I don't know. He looks good and he looks good this spring. So I'm gonna choose to believe it right now, but we'll see how it goes.
I think if they move anyone from behind the plate, it should be him because he does not look very good as a catcher.
That's true. There's a lot not to like there. There's not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it. I said what I said, Jake.
You said it right first.
Okay, good. Good. All right. I'm looking down through here. Harrison says Endy still hasn't struck out this spring. And he had a good day today. It's starting to look good.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk catchers, right? We said we were going there. We just ended with Joey Bart, Henry Davis, Endy Rodriguez, Jason DeLay. Who's the backup? And how do you see that? Like, how could you see that playing out?
I think it's going to be Henry to start the year. Endy's looked great. I love what we're seeing from Endy. He just missed a whole year. I think he starts in AAA, and I think he goes down and he rakes in AAA just like he's been doing right now, and he forces the team to make decisions. You know, Henry's going to have to perform in order to stay. But I think Henry will get the nod over him just for the fact that he's been hurt. And maybe they do want to get him reps at a different position. They're not worried about that right now. They're worried about him getting back
Right.
Healthy and performing his catching duties.
Yep. Right here. Bucco, Mike, Endy, first base. Not going to happen.
He's not going to play first. They've already come right out and said he is not going to play first.
It's injury stuff, right? It's his throwing arm. They're bringing him back from that. They want it to stay consistent. That's all the things that they're saying. He's a catcher right now. It doesn't mean that he never will not be, right? It just means that right now he's catching.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I have a feeling I have a lot of hope, and like I think Henry figures it out this year. Man, and he's looked good. I'm not denying that at all. I just don't see him cracking the roster on opening day.
Yeah, and to be fair, going into today, he was batting .222. This is what spring training does to us, right? Because if you're looking at that and you're saying .222, okay, this is here, and then all of a sudden it's, well, he had a great day today, he's hitting .417. And then you might look at that as a fan who doesn't get to see all the games of spring training because, one, it's not a priority, and two, they don't show some of them. And you could say, man, Endy's killing the ball. You know what I mean? If you hadn't looked at it, it's easy to do that in spring training when there's only 4 weeks of games. And so I think for Endy, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You go and you have a good day, and it changes the way your spring looks. You just have to kind of be careful. I will say this too, and you're going to hear me talk about opponent quality and the op qual stat that's in Baseball Reference. As a matter of fact, I tend to kind of look at the dates and write ahead. We're going to talk about that on Sunday. So that's like part of our show on Sunday. So I don't want to go too far into it here. But he had the highest opponent quality of anybody on the team going into the game today. So we'll see how that's affected. He was the only one over an 8. And for anybody that doesn't know what that means, make sure to tune in Sunday to kind of hear once we're 2 full weeks into it. But essentially 8 is an average of like a AAA pitcher, right? So you're never going to get much higher than that in spring training. Like it's rarely 8, like much higher than 8. That just doesn't happen. So it's not like you're saying, well, he did .417 in AAA. No, it's fine. It just means he's had a couple of bats against guys who never made the majors, and also like Eflin today, who's a major leaguer. You know what I mean? So he's a 10, and he got a hit. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of that, but the fact is like he's faced a lot, and so the fact that he was a .222 is fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're going to get your at bats, you're going to get your hits, and I just don't see, because of the injury, if all things are equal, right? And Henry Davis is hitting 300. You know what I mean? If all things are equal, it's going to be Henry Davis that gets the job. That's my opinion. But I can see a path where Endy beats out Henry if there's specific things that they believe Henry wants or needs to work on. I could see a path where they say, we're going to start you in AAA and we're going to get you X, Y, and Z, right? And then we'll make our move. That's the only thing for me that where I could see a path for Endy to make this team. Just not at first base. It's going to be at catcher. Remember, that this team is not going to have I don't believe there will be a starting catcher and a backup catcher, but I don't see Bart playing more than 90 games.
Yeah.
They're going to play the backup. The catchers are going to catch. And that's the way I look at it. I could be wrong about that, but when you have this,
it's gonna take Endy and Henry failing to not do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like Bart's gonna have to be playing really well, and Endy and Henry are both gonna have to fail in order for Bart to play more than 90 games.
Yeah, and I guess if he's tearing up,
on
right?
The safe side.
Yeah, I was gonna say if he's tearing up, I could see 110 games. You know what I mean? If he's just really, he's the 4-hitter and he's a dude, I could see 110 games. I think the plan right now is probably 90 games there, and then go from there. That's what I think. Man, it would be nice to see one of those two guys who are, by the way, superior defensive catchers, and Endy the best of the three.
Yeah.
From what I feel like I hear and the way I hear things, I would say Endy is the best defensive catcher. Jim says Endy also hasn't hit above average since AA. So
I think Endy's the best catcher. Henry has the best arm. Bart has the best bat.
Yeah, that's the way it looks right now.
Yeah.
Although I don't really think any of them have bad arms either. You know what I mean?
No,
like they can throw.
No, none of them have bad arms, but Henry's is different.
Yeah. The thing is we have to remember that if you're already at a point where you've bought in on Bart, then Davis ain't done yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is that fair?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you've bought in on Bart, Davis ain't done yet. And you can't say both things.
Right.
It's not, it's just not possible. You either believe that it can happen or you believe it can't, and Bart will fall apart this year because it can't happen. Or else there's a shot.
Clear. I'm not rooting for that. Just what I said.
Yeah. No,
I
get
said
it.
about Bart. I'm not rooting for that at all. I want him to play great. I want him to hit another 13 to 15 homers, playing 90 to 100 games. Let's roll. Let's win. I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, if he starts to have a path where it could be 20, that's where I think, like, if you can get him over 20 homers by playing him 110, you'll try to do it.
Sure.
They'll try to make it happen. So, there was a Launchpad had something to do with this here. Because this had something to do with Henry, so I thought it was now. He said, look into your crystal ball. Do you give more confidence in a Sawinski rebound or a Henry Davis in 2025? More confidence. What do you have?
It's hard. This is a hard question for me. I'm going to go with Sawinski right now on this one. Just because he's shown a little bit more so far this spring. I've loved what he's done this spring. With the bat, with his legs. He's just really looked good this year. He looks like he's getting a good headspace. But I like both of them. I think both of them. I think it clicks for Henry this year. I think Sawinski has a nice rebound this year. I think Sawinski brings more to the table this year. Not than Henry, but I think than last year's Sawinski. I think he's going to get you some stolen bases. I think he's going to a little bit of pressure being off of him, trying to be the center fielder. I think he'll play all three positions if he's going well. I think approach looks better this year at the plate.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like both of them.
For me, it's Sawinski. I have more faith in Sawinski. If I'm going to bank on one of them, that's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
I just got to see more. I've seen it. I've seen Jack do it. I haven't seen Henry do it yet.
Yeah.
I've seen Jack do it. For me, that's enough that I'm more in on that. And I believe that there was a hitting coach that got in Jack's way. And I believe that hitting coach is no longer employed by the Pittsburgh Pirates Baseball Club. And so I don't know that it's going to be. We talk about 2023, Jake. We talk about the 26 home runs, but he also struggled mightily in that season and was sent to the minors. He still got 26 home runs. Yeah.
That pop is real, man. He's got pop for sure.
If this guy even figures it out to be league average, like average wise, like not even, like if he can hit 240, he's hitting 30 homers. If he could just eliminate the streaks.
Yeah. Yep.
But
that's what your hitting coach is supposed to be there to help you with. Is I'm a firm believer that you got to the major leagues. You can hit. Your hitting coach is there to get you out of slumps, prevent you from going into the 1 for 33 slumps. Like, that's his job. You're in a funk. Let's figure it out. You can hit. You're here. You can hit. Let's figure out how to get you out of this funk.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
Huge.
But also, there are things about Jack's game, right? Mm-hmm. I like his approach when he's trying to hit home runs. I like the idea of being patient. And we saw the uptick in first pitch swings last year. We saw the paranoia of the strikeout. And he was swinging early at pitches that weren't his pitches. And he was making soft contact and he was getting out. I'd rather see him take more first pitches. Unless they're pitches you are hunting. Yeah. That's the aggressiveness that I want to see from a guy like Sawinski. I don't want that all the way through the lineups. But Sawinski, that's what I want. It's passive aggressiveness. It is, I am ready to jump if you throw my pitch. The difference is, and something that we've seen from Jack already this spring, is once you get to 2 strikes, now let's switch it up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I want to see that across the board.
Let's talk about that for one second. I'm gonna jump ship just a little bit here and just talk about runners in scoring position. We had 3 sacrifice flies today.
Put the ball in play.
Put the ball in play with runners in scoring position.
Sure.
That is runs on the board.
Yeah. Yeah, could be a correlation there.
Could be.
Doug Smith earlier said something about the hitting coach here trying to get insights. That wasn't the one I was trying to share, though. It was the one about the interview. Didn't he say something about the interview? Right here. Finally had an interview with the new hitting coach. It was interesting. He reflected much more off-season interaction than the players have. Yeah. I think there's a lot there that he's a contact kind of guy. So I think there's a lot there that could be potentially good for this team to say, all right, here's what we're going to do. We know a couple things, right? What you just said. A hitting coach at the major league level doesn't have an impact on a lot of things.
Right.
But if you got a guy in a slump, it's your job to get him out. And Andy Haynes is a trust the process kind of guy. Mm-hmm. The process never changes. Trust it. Right? Mm-hmm. Jim says, I just don't think the hitting coach matters all that much. And this is where it comes in. And I agree with that, right? But this is where it comes in.
Yeah.
Andy Haynes preached trust the process. If you have 2 strikes, I don't care. You have the same approach. If there's a guy on third with less than 2 outs, I don't care. You have the same approach. And that's the approach that the team was making in those situations. And dude, this is dead on. He's the only guy that didn't listen to that approach. But
Yeah.
it was a real thing. And it's also because it's trust the process in certain counts and certain situations, it's the same thing. If you're in a slump, keep at it. Trust the process. Like, just fix it, man.
Yeah.
I don't care if you do some kind of goofy, like, hey, if you chew your gum on the left side, I heard it'll get you out of the slump. Like, listen, we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've chewed our gum or put the seeds in the other cheek. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jim, I get what you're saying, like, totally. But the runners in scoring position, it wasn't be picky. It was the same thing. They were not told when you have 2 strikes or you have a guy on third base with less than 2 outs, your approach should change. Score that runner. Period. Especially when you're a team who has a pitching staff like the Pirates do going into this year. We better get that 1 run. I don't care about saying, well, maybe we should play for 3 or 4. That's not the case. Get that run in. That run could make a big difference. And and I did a deep dive into the numbers of how we did and how often we struck out with a runner on third, less than 2 outs, and it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? And so, that's the biggest thing is he's Jim's saying that players couldn't execute. I think they were executing the Haynes way of hitting, right? Except you're right. Except they were striking out more, but they were striking out. Yeah, that's fair to say. Thanks, Jim. He did say he's not defending. The players were just bad. The players were also like, you're being bad at doing something that you shouldn't be doing in the first place.
Yeah.
Major league pitchers are going to carve you up. They're not doing that.
Yeah.
So if you just, make contact, shorten up your swing, and you'll find that even if you are a player who couldn't execute or the players were just bad, even if you are that, you can make contact. And even if you get out, I know the analytics don't like that. And I like analytics too, but I still think that there's a space in baseball where a ground ball to second base that scores a run is a productive out.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of them will tell you there's no such thing. I just disagree with that part. I think there is, especially if you've got Paul Skeens on the mound, that 1 run is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might make it 3-0, but then if they get 2 late, you still win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just, it's going to be a big deal. And I think that Matt Haig accidentally makes a big difference because of that. Because not any other, there's a lot of hitting coaches who would do the same thing. Yeah. So that is fair. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think it will be a big deal.
Yeah.
And I also think it shouldn't be. I think it's less that I'm excited about Haig and more that I'm just like relieved that the former is former.
Yeah. I mean, your hitting coach is obviously going to set the philosophy for the year.
Right.
And whether he has a lot to do with the hitting aspect of a hitter, as like the physicality of how well this guy's going to hit and execute, he is still going to set up the philosophy of your hitting, of your style of, and that also should change. Maybe not for every hitter, but there's different styles of hitters. There's different philosophies for each hitter. You know, we just talked Jack needs to hunt a pitch. If he gets it, drive it. Gets 2 strikes, let's make contact, let's put the ball in play, blah, blah, blah. But a guy like Reynolds, like, he doesn't need to hunt his pitch. He can do damage on most pitches.
Mm.
If you see it and you like it, hit it. If you don't, spit on it. Still 2 strikes. I want you to put the ball in play.
Still got to do it.
Can. Yeah. But.
And if there's nobody out, I don't care if you still want to have the same approach. Like, I get it, right? If there's nobody on base, the home run scores a run.
Yeah.
I'm not there. But I would shorten up with runners in scoring position, which was the worst thing about this team. And what were we excited about, right? early on, Nick Gonzalez came up, he was getting it done. Now, whether it was the injury and maybe just, didn't come back all the way, or did Andy Haynes get a hold of him and he stopped being productive in those roles?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels too much. We'll see. Big year, I think, for Nick Gonzalez this year. Like, this is a big year.
Yeah.
Nick York is coming.
Yeah, he's knocking.
He's knocking. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's a big year for Nick Gonzalez. He finished under league average last year. And there was a lot to like about his game last year, but there was a lot that he just didn't complete.
He needs to hit.
And the injury might have had a role there, but
if he hits and say IKF is not hitting, you could see Nick Gonzalez sliding a short and Nick York coming up to play second.
Yeah, he was there today.
And IKF will be the guy spelling guys.
Keep going.
But yeah, you could see Nick York kind of take Triolo's spot almost. Like IKF take Triolo's spot with Nick York jumping into the starting role and Triolo gone, or trading IKF to get a bullpen arm because we got an injury or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we went all the way through this thing. Oviedo shut down, and I meant to open this whole thing up with Justin Lawrence was claimed, and we just skipped over it. We dove right in. I love it, but Oviedo, not good news.
No,
not good
Sorry,
news.
I'm talking about the Lawrence thing. There's something going on in the back of my head.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, no, not good news at all. Reevaluate in 4 weeks. Probably won't throw a baseball for 6. I don't know.
Right. Lat issue, but they're looking at the arm again. There's nothing saying that arm isn't going to be an issue.
The article that Stump put out, they said that his elbow feels great, but they're going to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was funny. I mean, you bring in Heaney, and I mean, I said it was like we're 10 deep right now in the rotation. And I was comfortable at 9. Well, we're back to 9. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not necessarily the end as far as like the season goes, but I think it's pretty safe to say you're probably not going to see Oviedo. I would think this maybe puts him in the bullpen for a large part of the year.
If not the whole year.
Well, I guess, yeah, you're right. It would be, because I don't think you're going to see him here now till July, August, maybe getting like to the Pirates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I have a hard time believing that that's going to be it. And I think that when he does come up, when he does make his way to the majors, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just in the bullpen. Not to mention, I mean, he's going to be competing with guys that are trying to break into the league. He's going to be competing with Chandler and Harrington and even Burrows and Ashcraft if they haven't moved into some sort of reliever role.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot there. July, August, but maybe in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So it sucks for Oviedo too.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that like
he was high, coming into spring training.
Yeah.
He felt good.
And he looked good when he was with us, and it was a guy that you thought could have been part of this moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Even with all the talent here, he looked like he had a spot, looked like he had a path. And now I'm not so sure. This is how it happens. He goes to the bullpen, or if it's figured out for a minute, he's possibly traded. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to tell. What do you think of Justin Lawrence? Anything or not yet? Let's talk later.
I mean, I think it looks good. Reading the article about all the breakdown of home and road splits away from course, the dude was good.
Yeah.
Got that funky arm angle with throwing some cheese. I like the move. I just saw that, hashtag who is Trevor? Yeah, who's Justin Lawrence? And all I could think of was my buddy Vince back in the day when we got Wandy Rodriguez, and he said, he called me on the phone and says, who the heck is Wandy?
Yeah, Wandy Rodriguez. Man, that took me some places there for a second. But yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of good stuff to see right now, and still a lot of questions, unfortunately.
Honestly, though, like some of the questions, I know you say unfortunately, but some of the questions are good questions. They're good battles that we're seeing some good things from multiple people. Those are the battles you like to see. It's not, well, who's doing the least worse,
right?
You know what I mean? Like we actually have some decent battles going on right now. We got some guys who are actually fighting for spots, and they actually look like they're fighting for spots. Not like second base a couple years ago where it was like, well, who do we want to throw out there, guys?
Yeah,
draw names from a hat.
Yeah, if you're you notice what we didn't see a lot of in the chat tonight, Jake? Matt Gorski. We didn't see a lot of that.
No.
And there's a reason for that. Hasn't been any more homers. Hasn't been a whole lot of anything. He's still faced the worst competition of anybody else on the team. And I went ahead and went back just to do it. I went ahead and went back. I'm gonna close the book on this until the book is reopened. His first home run was off of Corbin Martin, 29 years old. Pitched three innings this spring so far. He's given up 3 runs. With Arizona last year, he pitched 22 1/3 innings with a 4.84 ERA, 6.71 ERA, and 57.2 major league innings with Arizona and Houston. Okay? That's the guy. His second home run was off of Dylan, let's say Hyde. 26 years old, has yet to make his debut. He had a 31.50 ERA this spring. It's 2 innings, right? Big deal. But he's given up a couple homers. He's given up 7 runs in 2 innings, 4 of them off of Gorski's grand slam. He's only pitched as high as AA. Now, he did have a 1.69 ERA in AA last year, but also he's 25 years old. And his third home run was off of Matt Bowman, who pitched again tonight, who's pitched 3 innings and 2 earned runs, 6 ERA. He played for 4 different teams last year in the majors and combined to 30 innings, 4.40 ERA, 216 total innings in Major League Baseball, but he's played on 7 teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the 3 guys that Gorski hit home runs off of. And he just hasn't hit another one since February 26th. He still hasn't been exposed to better pitchers. So I'm closing the book. We're not going to talk about it. He's not in the running at this point until something else changes.
My Gorski quote aged really poorly. Quickly.
So who currently is first off, how long does the first baseman that breaks camp? I still say a month. How long do you have him actually before Horwitz is here?
I mean, after reading some stuff today, they're expecting him to be swinging by opening day, just not, for the Pirates. He started dry swings today, I think they said.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hoping it's not a whole month. They said they're not closing the book on opening day, but it's certainly they're not pushing for it. So I think it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks.
From now or season?
No, season.
I was like, that is opening. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm just still, I'm banking on a setback. I'm banking on them slow rolling it. If somebody does show up and they play well, I think maybe saying like, let's give them a run and see if there's anything else in this roster that figures it out. Let's say it's Billy Cook, right? If it's Billy Cook, you might give him a little bit of a run to see, do I need to keep this guy for the outfield?
Yeah.
Or do I not have a spot out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just saying if it is somebody there. If it's somebody like DJ Stewart, maybe the same sort of thing, right? If he ends up somehow playing his way into the role, do you keep him around for just a little bit longer before you bring Horwitz in and say like, is it him or is it Jack? Let's say is the other one. Which one's actually going to earn that spot once Horwitz is back? I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see one of those things. Now, if it's Triolo, then I think maybe, okay, we got a spot for Triolo. You know what I mean? He's already on this team.
Gosh, I hope it's not Triolo. I hope somebody hits better than Triolo to get that spot.
Okay, so in this scenario, let's pretend that Triolo hit well enough to earn it, right? Then it's fine. Then if it is Triolo, then it's fine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I see York at first. Billy says, maybe, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna get Ben out of shape on what he's looked like so far defensively over there. I think that it's gonna be fine. If he's hitting, I think giving York a run wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Sawinski, we haven't seen him play it yet. We know he's taking ground balls and he's, learning it. And I don't know that it's there yet, but it could be that. Right now, I think Sawinski's possibly just earning his way onto the roster as the fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
So
I think he'll play a decent amount.
But could you, Jake? You know how Ben likes to keep guys? Do you see a path where it's like, yeah, maybe we will do something like this in order to not DFA or not put Palacios on waivers right out of the gate? Make Palacios play his way out of this. I mean, is there a chance right now?
I don't think we're trying to protect Palacios.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. But
the other part about it is like, I just don't know that we're going to see a guy like Sawinski transition to first base when it's not long term.
The only
I don't
way
know that we teach you a whole new position just to fill in for what will it be like 15, 20 games.
Right.
Because you're not going to bat him. You're not going to play him at first against the lefties. You're going to play somebody else there. You're going to play a right-hander.
If he's the best hitter, that's why you do it. If he's the best hitter of the group and his only other path is the fourth outfielder, that's why you would do it. Right? You could put Billy Cook in the outfield if that's what you were doing. You know what I mean? Or somebody, or TJ Stewart. If he, you know what I mean? I know he's cooled off a little bit, but if it heats back up, he's going to have a nice spring, and he's played in the majors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know how they'll go about it, but to me, they're going to look for whoever can swing it. If it is 2 weeks, especially, like, I think defense is secondary at that point. Let's hit the ball.
Yes, but you have to be able to play it somewhat.
But yeah, they're not going to throw him. They're not going to throw him there if he's not.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but Sawinski came into camp with a first base mitt and said, "I want to learn it."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, he's been out there doing this on his own.
I want to see
it's not like them just saying,
spring
"Let's
training."
Do it. Sure,
I want to see him play it before.
And he's been out. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. He's been out there. He's been doing the thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
In a game situation, I want to see him play it before. Like, I don't have to see it, right? I just want to know that he's done it in a spring game.
Yeah, if they're gonna do it, he's played it in the spring.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. It's not like they're gonna be like, all right, he hit the best, let's throw him there. That he's gonna play it if they're gonna put him there.
Sure.
So yeah,
I'm just not ready to say it yet because they haven't put him there.
Yeah. Once again, though, and I know, like, Giga Mosher and others are, you're concerned right now, like Triolo's not earning it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. Triolo's also had 15 at bats. So just like Endy, you know, if he goes 3 for 3 in his next game, he's going to look all right.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that early. I'm not trying to convince you he's going to. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks. You know what I mean? We're not even 2 weeks in yet. So once we get there, once we get to a place where we've got like, I guess it probably is like 3 weeks, right? That's your halfway point. We're going to be on this in a couple of weeks. We're going to say, all right, we're there now. 2 Thursdays from now, we're going to say, this is it. We're halfway now. We got to start seeing some production. I think at that point, that's when you start calling that out. It's more approach and things like that. And I don't know about you. I just haven't seen enough games to have an opinion on many of these guys and their approach. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just haven't seen the games closely enough. So, and this is probably like to Gigamasher's point. Maybe that's what he's seeing. He says right now in any phase of the game, he just doesn't look good right now. That's different than his numbers aren't good, right? So he's saying,
right.
You pay attention to the at-bats, you're going to say, this guy doesn't even look like he can figure it out.
Yeah.
I think there's other guys where you say, he's in the ball hard. I mean, even Jack, the numbers are okay. They're fine. What is he at right now? Okay, never mind. I mean, he's in 375. I didn't think it was that good. But even his outs are hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's hitting barrels.
Good.
He's looking good. But again, his numbers are fine. So nothing to worry about there. So anything else? How about the home run by O'Neal Cruz? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Bomb. This is bomb.
Yeah.
This is bomb.
He's feeling good. He's going to have a breakout season.
Yeah.
30-30.
30-30. Okay. Let me ask you this, and maybe this will prelude, like as we get to the end of spring, we'll start to do all of our little, hot takes, predictions, whatever else that we always get wrong. Does he have more home runs or does he have more stolen bases?
He's going to hit more home runs.
You think?
Yeah.
He had 22 steals last year. Hold on. 22 steals last year, 21 home runs. Does that change your mind?
I don't.
Remember, he wasn't running early.
You asked for an instant answer.
I know,
I gave you an instant answer.
But remember, he wasn't running early.
Yeah.
He only got thrown out. He only got thrown out once last year, Jake.
Yeah, and this whole team looks like we're going to be running this year.
Well, we said that last. We said that last
every
spring.
Year. We say that every year.
It looks like because every
I'm going to
team
say it
is
again.
Every team's going to run a lot in the spring. They have to. They're going to try it out. I had somebody
doing it well.
I had somebody tell me today, like, I still hate our base running. I'm sorry. I had a Reds fan today tell me I still hate our base running, and I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you don't have to run. Oh, they're running. They're getting thrown out all over the place. And well, maybe they'll just learn not to run. You got to understand, in Cincinnati last year, you had a manager who was clueless.
Yeah,
he was just looking for fights. He had no idea what he was doing.
I like the aggressiveness we're showing right now, and we're being successful at it. So I don't know. I'd like to see it continue into the regular season because last year we were running a good bit in spring, and then we just stopped as soon as the season started. Stopped.
Oh yeah.
And I just
too risky. Too risky for Haynes, man. He doesn't want to move runners.
I get it that we might not run as much, but I don't want to just stop running. Like it's clearly a factor in today's game. Stealing bases is coming back. Let's take advantage of it and let's do it too, man. You steal second base hit scores a run at that point.
Gigamasher says, I think O'Neal might make the team. Love that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think 30-30 is a safe bet to start with.
I think there's a
Potential
chance.
40-40.
I think there's a chance for 30-40.
30 homers, 40 steals.
I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
So.
Fair.
Bucco Mike says Cruz needs to bash 30. Drive in 100. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it comes along with a bunch of steals too.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what you're saying. Needs his legs for the outfield. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I mean, I played outfield. I love stealing bases.
That's what outfielders do.
I was telling somebody
running.
I was telling somebody the other day, I could have racked up a ton of steals in high school if I could hit. I could have stole a ton of bases. But no, I wasn't on base. I'm G1 Bay.
Oh my gosh. No, G1 Bay gets thrown out running even though he's fast.
That's true. I did not. 5 times on base, 5 stole. No, I'm kidding. All right, man, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, let's roll. Like and subscribe and all that stuff, guys.
For sure. For sure. If you're watching right now, just hit like. Just hit the like button right below.
Yeah.
If you're listening later, if you're watching, hit the like button. If you're listening, do all the things you can do. Comment too. Comment below. If you're on Spotify, you can comment on there too. Thanks.
Let's go Bucks.
We'll see you guys Sunday. Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans. Friday